Go downstairs to get some breakfast, and I walk outside to put my clothes in the truck, and it's gone. Everything's gone. Truck, trailer, both race trucks, mine and his, completely gone. I'm Jesse Harris from Martinsville, Indiana, and this is my 1975 Chevy truck. My grandpa bought it new in 1975. He sold it to my dad in 1978, and I bought it from my dad in 92. It was a 6-cylinder, 3-speed on the column, and as any 16-year-old kid, I wanted to put a V8 in it, loud noises. So I did. It was just a 2-barrel small block, still 3-speed on the column, and I beat on it pretty regularly and tore that 3-speed up, put a 4-speed in it, run that around for quite a while and tore it up, and then I put an automatic in it. We had horses at the time, and we were driving to Brown County to ride horses on the horse trails, and I'd come home to get more hay to go back down, stay a little longer, and on 135 I see a sign that says drag racing today. So I turn down that road and find Brown County Dragway. So why not enter it, you know? Enter it in this class, and we unload the hay out of the truck. I get down there in like street class or something, and I take off. I'm just so excited, and the hay, loose hay in the back of the truck, just sprinkled all over the racetrack, and it junked the whole surface, and they had to burn and scrape the whole thing. So I didn't make any friends, but I had a lot of fun, and I was hooked. So now it's upgrades, got to do more. So over the winter, we decided to like put a cage in it because it was going almost fast enough to be required, but then I added enough weight I could never go fast enough to need a cage. But it was a long bed, a stock frame, real heavy, so we changed it to kind of what it is today. Ended up with a step-side bed on it for a while. And I went around to all kinds of bracket races for several years, and then almost by mistake, we went and watched a drag week somewhere, like the last day of a drag week. It looked really cool, so I said, I'm doing it. I don't know when, but we're gonna do it in the next year or two. So when we all kind of get around to being able to do it, my brother had a LS truck, he put a turbo on, so I'm going to, without him knowing, put a Pro Charger on the small block that's in it so I can outrun my brother. And we tore it up. Like the day it made boost, it broke. So now I still want to go to drag week, and my only option is I had a diesel truck as my tow truck that was hot rodded a little bit, so we pull the engine out, we're gonna put it in here, and if it's not fast, it'll smoke and make somebody laugh. We go, it's never run. We push it off the trailer, we push it in the tech line, knowing we're gonna have 8 or 10 hours in the tech line. So in the tech line, we're trying to button things up, and I have an electrical fire in brake light and turn signal circuits. Just filled the cab with smoke, somebody come with a fire extinguisher. So now, not only do we have to finish what we already had to finish, I gotta fix that. And we get it together with near duct tape and wire nuts and whatever. So we start it, we go through, get through tech, make my first pass, it's really bad, really lame 60 foot, like maybe 3 seconds. I couldn't get it to build boost, couldn't get the trans brake to work, but it run like 1170. So go work on a couple things, go make another pass, it went 1020s. None of us expected that out of this, and then we hit the road the first time. It was completely problem-free, way louder than we hoped for in the cab. I'm thinking the diesel might have to stay because of the fun we've had with no work. Here comes a race in November in Kentucky, and me and a friend, Mike Sandiford, load up. We go, I lose second round. We find a race in Ohio, and we're gonna motor over there and try to race tomorrow morning. We get into Dayton at a Holiday Inn, and we go to pull in, and it won't accommodate the truck and trailer. We get in there, but not like you want to, curbing, driving over curbs and stuff. So we back up to the post and put his wheelie bar, Mike's wheelie bar, between the hotel sign. Like, not worried at all anybody's gonna steal it. We don't even know how we're gonna get out. We get up at 6 and I take a shower and I look out the window and everything's fine. Go downstairs to get some breakfast, and I walk outside to put my clothes in the truck, and it's gone. Everything's gone. Truck, trailer, both race trucks, mine and his, completely gone. And I walk in and I tell him, I'm like, Mike, our stuff's gone. He's like, what stuff? I'm like, all of it. It's gone. I'm just in so much shock, I can't even have emotion to it. I can't register what just happened. I just seen it. We go out there and we're looking and we can't figure out how they got out because it really wasn't possible to get out. And they drove, there was a curb for the hotel and Cracker Barrel, and it was like 40 some inches deep and 12 feet. And they plowed this truck across it, dragging the trailer across it. It bridged it, tore the front 2 axles out of the trailer, but they just kept going. And they drove through Cracker Barrel, and as we're sitting in the hotel making a police report, we get a phone call. We found your truck. So me and Mike, we just can't believe it. It's like the best day ever all of a sudden. So we have to jump in the back seat of this cop car, and he drives us over, and there's my tow truck. The one thing I could have done without is the tow truck. We're looking at it and they strip stupid stuff off of it. Headlights, grill, tail lights, AC vents, windshield wipers, floor mats. The police tell us to go home. We want to look for our stuff. They tell us to go home. Let them do their job. So we did. A couple weeks went by and it was terrible. It started to just hit me about how someone stole something that was mine, that was my grandpa, that means something to me. At one point, this was the only thing I had to drive. Me and my wife were dating, when our kids come home from the hospital, when they were born, all that stuff was this truck. The last memories of my grandpa, this truck, you know, all that stuff. So it's getting to me. And you go through those days where you just get all down and sad about it, and then days when you're really mad about it. And then we get a phone call. A kid called, hadn't got my number somehow, and called it numerous times, and he had seen it going down the interstate on a trailer and climbed out of the bucket truck and got in the supervisor's vehicle, chased it down, followed it to an impound lot. He didn't know the police had found it, and at the time I didn't either. So I get a phone call from the police that we found your trucks and trailer. So they send me a picture. Is this your trailer? Yes, that's my truck too. Mike's truck was there also. I take off work, I call Mike, he meets me in town. We're gonna go up, since my trailer's there, we're gonna take his truck and trailer both race trucks home. And when we get there, I start looking at the trailer and like my winch is missing, my winch battery, my spare tire, and the sheriff sent me a picture of the trailer with that equipment on it. So it lost it in the impound lot. Someone stole it in the impound lot, whether it was a crackhead or the folks at the impound lot, I don't know. And I started complaining about it, and the cop told me to count my blessings and go home. So I did. We was in a bad neighborhood, had some local racers seen it. He ended up giving us a ride to Harbor Freight to buy ratchet straps so we could strap his stuff down to come home. So we come home, unload it and bring it to the barn, and it's like this emotional high I'd never experienced. Because it's not like I consider it a family member, but it does mean a lot to me. I put a lot of work in it. I've had it a long time, done a lot of stuff in it. So we get it home, we get it in here. They tore it up when they unloaded it. Fenders bent, stepped on the hood, bed cover, they climbed on it. And I think the only reason we got it back was sending a message to Kyle to put it on social media to try to spread it around that it was stolen. The truck got a little bit of publicity from Drag Week. It had a lot of views on YouTube on a video he done. And then I think the thieves seen my Race Pack GPS module and they thought the truck had GPS. And this girl had messaged Mike Sandifer, hey, I heard you got your truck stolen. Do they have GPS on them? So after we recover the trucks and we find out where they were, whose property they were on, the girl that messaged him, it was on their family's property. The truck, both trucks and the trailer was on their property. And when the police looked at it, the landowner walked up, who also owns a salvage yard, was like putting his hands on, looking in the window. What the police told me later, a couple of them, and the impound driver, that he was purposely putting his fingerprints on it so I couldn't use that to prove he stole it. His fingerprints were all over it. So I had the truck insured properly. So getting it fixed, the body work that was done, they stole nothing out of the truck. So I send it to a body shop. it gets fixed. And I told him on this day, I'm picking it up, I'm going to this race. I got invited to a JJ the Boss's arm drop race, and I wanted to go. We go, they've never seen it since it's been repainted. We get there, it's raining, sun comes up, we unload it, we're all looking at it, all happy, we got it back, it's all shiny again. We do our chip draw, I draw Dennis Bailey and the Silverback Gorilla, and I know now I gotta make a big jump and hope he does really bad, and maybe I'll do something. Well, as luck would have it, everything happened just right, where I actually got a jump on him. He was late, I was real early, and I was, you know, maybe gonna do something that looked cool at the finish line. And then it died. And as it's coasting down, he goes flying past me, it started back up. So I come around, and Mike Sandifer standing there, he went with us, and I said, dude, get in. Google a parts store, I need a fuel filter. Because the one thing I seen was fuel pressure. When it wasn't running, I had no fuel pressure. So I thought through the dirt and dust of body work, maybe I need a fuel filter. So we leave, and it's within 10 minutes of the pass, the data logger runs for 10 minutes. So from the time I left the pass till I picked him up at the end of the track, left, we went less than 1/8 of a mile, and an Arkansas State Trooper made some kind of illegal turn right in front of us, like right lane, and just made a left, no lights, no siren, nothing, just turned right in front of us, and we hit him going 38 mile an hour, I think. Hood come through the window, my head hit the funny car cage, wasn't belted in tight because I wasn't racing, I was just driving. And I see the officer's face in the window, and he is knocked out. So I get out to help this guy. Car's full of smoke, which was from the airbags, and we get over there, and Mike starts pulling on me, saying something. I turn around, and he says, "You're hurt." I'm like, "I'm hurt." And he's like, "Yeah, you're bleeding." And it was my head from hitting the cage. So then the officer comes to, and he gets out. He has no idea what happened. He'd been unconscious for probably a minute. And then all the other state troopers show up, and they're not happy with me at all. Before they even ask if I'm okay, they're looking at the truck telling me that I can't drive this on the road. Well, I can. It's plated, it's insured, it's legal in Indiana. It might not be legal to drive in Arkansas, but it is in Indiana, and that's all I have to abide by. So we get through that, I go to the hospital. The officer I hit comes in as the investigating officer with his chief. I thought it was weird that he was investigating the accident he was in. And I talked to the chief, and he said, you know, I had left so quickly, I still had Discovery Channel's cameras in the truck on the outside, front and back. Everything on video. There was no contesting whose fault it was. If there would have not been cameras, not having lights on or sirens, I'd have probably got the fault. But they had nothing. It was all on video. So talking to this guy, he agrees it's their fault. I tell him I want my truck fixed. You can pay the bill here today. When I go home, my medical insurance pick it up. We'll be done with this. You'll never hear from me again. He shakes my hand, says we'll take care of it, and they did not, ever. They didn't do anything. It turned into a fight that I couldn't win. Sovereign immune state, no fault state. They fell into some loophole where I was just stuck with it. This is 3 days after it was painted from the theft. The paint body and all the damage on the theft was like 20-something thousand for the paint and repairs. With the state trooper, it junked. I mean, it bent frame, it bent bars, knocked the front suspension out of it. It broke the bosses off the motor mounts of the engine. It broke the transmission case. And that rattled up to like 40 grand. And then they didn't pay, so I got stuck with it. So I couldn't fix it the way it needed fixed. We just had to do things less. So we get it back together and stick, it's not painted, and I get it to the next year, I get it to drag week again. We go to make a couple passes, we go through the whole week, and everything went great. I like tickled 999 a couple of times, you know, some personal bests with the diesel, and the whole week goes great. And the last day, me and a friend, Jeremy Rogers, were like, we're gonna try to find more power. We're both gonna turn our trucks up. And and he melted the heads off his, and I had a car break down in front of me, oiled the track. So I was sitting in the truck unbelted, and they said, you know, start them up. So I'm sitting in there and I can't turn the CO2 bottle on, and the only boost control I have is CO2 on dome. So it was set at like 80 pounds. Well, the guy, I got his attention, come over, I tell him to turn the bottle on, but he also turned the regulator. And the thing made 134 pounds of boost and then shifted really soon and locked the converter, and it drug it down to like 1700 RPM. And it was the best 8th mile I'd ever had. And then it just went away, and I was running over my own water. I thought we knocked the head gasket off of it. When we got it home to put a head on it to go to another race we wanted to go to, we started putting coolant in it and realized the block is broken. It broke at the cam bearings and the freeze plugs, which is a common spot for breaking a high torque application, like tractor pulling, truck pulling, stuff like that. So I don't have an engine, don't really have the money to build one quick. Drag week gets canceled for COVID, and my friend Aaron said, I've got a 6.7 common rail. You need to put one in, a common rail in it anyway, so we can tune the racetrack in it. Where mechanical, I just couldn't make power, and you just had to deal with it. He says, we'll put my engine in it. And I said, okay, but you're gonna drive it. You can drive it at Rocky Mountain 2.0, and I'll find something else to drive. You know, he's a good friend, it's his engine, and you know, if we're gonna tear it up, I'd rather him do it. He's nervous about it because he doesn't want to wreck my truck, but I trust the guy. So we get it all done again, and like the night we have to leave, it's still not run. 11, 12 o'clock at night, it starts for the first time. We drive it around the block. When we come in the driveway, I roll it on the trailer. It's not done, but it's close. So we go, and he's gonna make his first lick in it ever, and we tuned it to where we thought it would, you know, make, say, 700 horse, and we thought it would go somewhere in the 11s. I figured that won't rattle a guy up too much. I'm knelt down beside it, and the trans brake's on, and he's throttling it. And I thought, wow, that sounds really good, because we hadn't tested that at all. And he let go, and it wheelied, and it went a 10.14, which would have been, at that time, personal best period on its first ever pass on its first tune. And we didn't expect that. And then he's driving it around all week, and I'm driving a buddy's car, an Impala, LS powered, and it does really well. Great fuel mileage again, and just the manners in it. You know, the drivability was so good. So he gets through that one, and he gets third in Unlimited due to, you know, some other cars failing, but actually got third in Unlimited at Rocky Mountain 2.0. We're pretty stoked about it, and I still don't have my motor done. I'm still waiting on parts. Drag week comes around again, and I'm like, well, can I borrow your engine that's in my shipping crate, you know, and go to drag week? And he's like, yeah, go for it. So we get all through that, and then sick week comes around. We're like, cool, let's try sick week. So we sign up for it, get in. We do a couple things to it, new intercooler, a couple other things. There's something that's always like restricted power. I talked to Jay at Real Street. He gets me an intercooler core. We build an intercooler, put it in. We're gonna go to sick week. We're excited, got some new stuff. We think, you know, maybe we found what little restriction we were trying to get over. It was faster, not a lot. Well, I say not a lot. I went 950, well, my average was 950 something. I had a 920 something the second track we raced at, which would have been day 3, but we get all that taken care of. We're happy with it, nothing's broke. We get the trailer all packed up and loaded, and we get rained out. They're canceling the next day. So we now have what feels like 2 days to make a trip. We got time to stop, eat good lunch, dinner, visit, sightsee, whatever. So we're going along, and we end up at a checkpoint, and Cletus McFarland's there in the mullet, James, the Dr. Pepper car, Sam's got the Crown Vic there. We're all kind of visiting with them. and we leave that checkpoint and get back on I-75, we like have 12 miles till the hotel. We're staying at different hotels, so they're in the right lane and we're in the center lane, and we're just going down through there, and they're gonna turn off at this exit and we're going to the one right after it. Like, it's not an eighth of a mile. And all of a sudden, just something happened and I am all over the road. Like, I don't even know what happened. You just truck sideways, it comes around 2 or 3 times, and I somehow gather it up, and I look in the mirror and there's sparks everywhere. And I don't know if the truck broke an axle, if the trailer broke an axle, like, I have no idea. So Cletus and those guys, they have to get over, and they don't take the exit I think they were intending to, because I had a fire. I didn't know it at the time, but I think either the truck that hit me's fuel or something, but the trailer was on fire. So I get off the road, we get stopped, I get back and I'm looking at it, and the right side of my trailer is smashed from top to bottom. It's like, how did that happen? You know, where did this come from? So we're sitting here trying to analyze it, and James Tall walks up and says, "Dude, he hit you." I'm like, "Who hit me?" And he said, "The semi." And I guess they had pushed those guys all off the road, and then he come back on the road and hit my, what would it be, my right rear, or my right side of my trailer. He hit me, which chucked the trailer around, and some of the video I've seen that they took, you know, the trailer was up on one wheel, then another wheel, and just zigging and zagging. And someone else had called the cops. And I believe they called the cops over road rage with the semi driver from miles back and had been following. That's what the Georgia Highway Patrols told me. So we're sitting there and I'm asking the cop when they come up to us, ask my information. I'm like, "Hey, is this guy okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, can I go talk to him?" And he said, "No, he's not happy. You don't want to go talk to him. He's mad. Just mind yourself." So then we talked to him a little bit, and they agreed to let us pull off the interstate at the next exit just for safety reasons. So they do their investigation and talk to witnesses, and I don't even know how many they talked to. And it was until the next day when I met James at the track and asked him what happened that he told me. So actually that night, he said the semi hit me, and between cops showing up and just crazy interstate traffic, and now we have 20 sick week cars that have all pulled over because they seen it. We don't get into the details of it till the next day, which was, I guess, you know, I don't know him. You know, he seemed like a nice guy, but I had not talked to him before. Now this semi driver is commenting on that video in the comment section that I'm a liar. I talked my traveling mates into lying for me. I didn't ask nobody to lie for me. You know, I know who Cletus and James, I know who they are. I don't know them. I didn't talk anybody into lying. I didn't even know what happened. So we go through all that, and then you get further down in comments, and he's challenging me to a lie detector test on the Steve Wilkos show, which I'm not sure how to contact Steve Wilkos to see if they'll do it, but I mean, I'm in. That would be fine with me. But now that he is denying responsibility, so I'm stuck again to either fix it myself at my expense, or I have to get an attorney and sue his insurance company in Georgia, because that's where the accident happened. I have to go to Georgia to deal with this. So then I'm trying to weigh, is it worth, you know, taking off work, going to Georgia, paying an attorney, dealing with all this, when the police report reads it is 100% his fault. I have zero fault in it. The diagram, everything, it says I have no fault in it. And the insurance company doesn't have to pay. They tell me because he told them not to. It's not his fault. That it now becomes a legal issue. So now, you know, trying to decide what to do, take off work, go to Georgia, make a lawsuit out of it just to get my stuff fixed or not. But I'm pretty sure when the guy, he triggered me enough calling me a liar. He actually contacted my insurance company, he like drove here. The dude lives like in Tennessee, accident in Georgia. He's, I don't know, maybe crazy, I don't know. But that stuff keeps happening, but I have a lot of fun racing. I'd have never thought a trip down Brown County Dragway would have ended the way it did, you know, where I just want to race. I want to race this. Since I got into the drag and drive, that's all I really want to do. Truck's been like 570s on prep. It's not going to win around in a no prep anymore. You know, I don't have 2,500 horsepower. I'm hoping to make 1,500 with the new engine, but I want to race this truck. I want to drive it to every track and drive it home. We've put a radio in it now. We've put heat and air conditioning in it, and it is a double frame rail tube chassis deal, but I like driving it. I don't know, it's just, people talk about all the hard luck I've had with it, but no one's ever really gotten hurt. I mean, me, I banged my head up and got some stitches, but it just what I want to do, you know. And there's no budget. We're always looking for sponsors. Don't have any of those, but I don't know. Good time. Want to keep doing it.